Doing amazing, fantastic, phenomenal. And how are you?
Fantastic. And our topics, we're going to have a series, and I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Ransomware defense and how to minimize data breach. And Greg, I think it's a great series for us to cover, so I'm excited about it. Really am
Yeah,
because
me too.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, just going to say that, to set it up, ransomware is still like the number one issue that's plaguing corporate America and everyone else who uses a computer. We're talking tens, hundreds of billions of dollar industry now. It's going to be on the Fortune, 100 list soon, which makes me nauseous. Yeah.
It's terrible. All right. So our
Yeah.
topic today, yeah, absolutely. Our topic today is what is EDR and MDR? So we'll go with that and how do we augment it? But let's go right in. What is EDR?
Yeah, well, that's it. That's a really good one to start with, Neil. Part one, EDR and MDR. Well, it used to be called EPP, and some people do say that it's endpoint protection. Uh, EDR stands for endpoint detection and response, and MDR is just managed detection and response. So basically, it's a third party, usually like an MSSP, that is hosting your endpoint detection and response in a managed 24/7 security operations center, and then making sure it's working and so on. Now, there are really just three main players in the EDR space in the enterprise situation. And the thing is that if you're not using enterprise technology, even if you're just a one user company, then you're really at risk. I mean, sure, there's probably 100 different types of antivirus and endpoint protection, but there are really only three EDRs that work. CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, and Defender. Okay, there they are. But here's the thing: they're not infallible. And when I talk about augmentation, what I'm augmenting is making sure that the EDR can't be tampered with. Now, each one of those technologies have what's called an anti-tamper mechanism, which means if somebody's trying to disable it, stop the service, dig in there somehow, it's going to set off a red flag. It's going to trip a wire internally with that EDR system and then stop it from happening, set up an alert. The SOC, the Security Operations Center guys will just be, getting the bells and whistles. But here's the thing. Not only have I seen it, but I can do it. I can circumvent all three of those. I can get around CrowdStrike, I can get around SentinelOne, I can get around Defender. Well, I'm just a CEO, so imagine what a real hacker can do, right? So how do you augment that? Well, you put a wrapper around it or a backstop or a shield over it, however you want to, make that make sense in your mind, so that if somebody were to tamper with it, disable it, get around it, and leave your environment vulnerable, not just the one computer, but your entire organization, then this system is going to stand in and protect you. Well, how does it do that? Well, itself notices the tampering that's going on, and itself has the ability to make sure that it can't be bypassed and prevent that from happening. So augmenting your EDR and MDR is critical these days. We're talking about, remember the old days, a belt and suspenders to keep your pants up? Well, you need belts, suspenders, duct tape, zip ties, ratchet straps, whatever you can to make sure that you can't get ransomware hack. And the EDR is your first line of defense, and it's vulnerable.
And that's not good. So what is
Yeah.
What is an MDR, Greg?
Yeah. Well, MDR is just the managed detection and response system. So it's as an MSSP would like host your EDR monitoring in their security operations center. And then they would make sure that your EDR was working. When it gets bypassed, many times they don't even notice because the system is not being triggered. They're not tripping a wire where the anti-tamper would stop in the MDR environment. So they're just getting around it. And it's like business as usual until you get locked up and your data's gone.
And that's why you need to have a company like TOS C3 to be able to augment it, right? If you don't.
So we actually developed in conjunction with one of our enterprise partners an augmentation solution that's a managed solution, or it can be, you can self-manage it. And it comes under our ransom defense Pro service offering. And so it'll backstop and prevent, MDR, EDR from getting circumvented and prevent you from getting your data hacked and lost.
All right. And best way to get in touch with you right now is to go to tossc3.com and schedule a call with you, right, Greg?
Yeah, go to tossc3.com. I welcome the opportunity to give you, my time for no cost, just to evaluate what you have and see if augmentation makes sense. If you're not using one of those three major enterprise EDRs from earlier in the podcast, just circle back, rewind, and grab those three, and we can talk about those, as well. And I'll give you all the advice that I can help. And I help all size companies and up to the Fortune 100.
All right.